We're back with Formula One again, and with me this evening is Kule Williams and Mustafa Jinada. I'm still Afalabi. Welcome to another Formula One show.
Okay, welcome back to Formula One Fanatics. Um, we're going to jump straight to the topic. Bernie Ecclestone said that Verstappen is the GOAT. He said, hands down, the GOAT. Better than Schumacher. He didn't mention Schumacher. He mentioned Hamilton. He said better than Hamilton, but I don't think Hamilton's even part of this discussion. He's saying that he's better because he gives reliable feedback, his mental attitude, these types of things. These things apply to a lot of drivers. I need to find out exactly what he said. I'm going to download it in a second. But what we're going to focus on here and over the next couple of weeks is to take a real close look at what it means to be the GOAT and is Verstappen the GOAT. We're not going to outline it. We're just going to start now. So today I'm going to talk about feedback to mechanics. Um, let's look at Verstappen and Schumacher and Senna. Senna was absolutely intuitive and might have the best feel for grip than anybody who's ever been there. And he can feel all kinds of things going on with the car, the suspension, the coils. He can feel every inch of it. So if you want to get to minute feedback, he probably could give very good feedback to the mechanics when it comes to like very sensitive inputs and outputs and aspects of the car. Verstappen's also very, very good at that too. Verstappen is slightly behind Senna when it comes to level of grip. But when I say slight, it's very slight. Verstappen and Senna are both intuitive drivers and they can feel a lot. But where I think Verstappen is better with input is Verstappen is blunt. Like he said, the car feels like it's flexing. That just means it's disconnected. Verstappen gives blunt, straightforward feedback to the engineers with simple language without trying to be polite, which gets to the point. Like if he says the car feels like it said the tail's falling off. He says very short things, or I think earlier this year he said it's flexing, which is not even a technical word, but it let the mechanics know what it meant. Now, maybe Senna could pick up some more subtleties with the car, but he may not have the vocabulary or the communication skills to put it forward. I would put Schumacher behind the two of them when it comes to feedback, but Schumacher is actually the engineer himself. What he knows is that he's analytical and knows the tendencies for the tracks. So he'll show the engineers how to set up the car rather than give specific feedback. But where he's better than the two of those guys, though, is that apparently, from what people say, when Schumacher was driving, he knew he met in qualifying laps and everything and practice laps. He knew every aspect of every corner, of every transition, braking zone. He knew how the car behaved, and he can now tell the mechanics how to set up the car for the race. That's different from saying what the car needs. He's literally saying this is how you need to set up. He's not really giving them feedback. So that's what he's good at. So these are all different skills. But I think when it comes to feedback, well, I'm going to give the check to Verstappen and Schumacher. So now we'll go on later on that, but let's start off with that. What do you guys think about as far as feedback with the cars? I don't know. I think you guys would agree with me that when you look at that aspect, Senna is probably behind Schumacher and Verstappen. So when we look at that one rubric, not the whole picture of who's the GOAT, what do you guys think about when it comes to feedback and setup and everything? I'll start with you, Kunle. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I have to say is that the technologies of the times of Senna is
Yeah.
very different from times of Verstappen. So it's very difficult to make a really accurate comparison. But when I look at the raw talent of it, I would say that arguably, I mean, like there are other factors in saying who is the GOAT is very subjective. But what we're looking at here is not so much who's the GOAT in terms of what they've done over their career and what they've completed, but their abilities as intrinsically as a driver from
Yeah.
day to day in the car, who is the most likely person to get in a car and dominate a race.
Yeah.
Um, Looking at it from that point of view, then you're only looking at three people. You're looking at Senna, Schumacher, and Verstappen.
Yep.
Uh, Sadly, Senna was cut short, so we didn't really get to see enough of it. He would have affected Schumacher's career. It would have been a fantastic duel of sorts to have watched that. And had Senna not died, I don't know whether we would have held Schumacher in the same regard because
But at the time
definitely
that Senna died, though, at the
side.
time that Senna died, Schumacher was beating him and was arising. But a lot of that had to do with the car. But I think also what it had to do was Schumacher was the first driver to follow everything, lift weights, make sure you're stable. Like Schumacher was like a robot; he could do thousands of laps and he wouldn't lose it. So he brought German efficiency, whereas Senna is more of that Brazilian. I drink a cappuccino with my girlfriend on the weekend. So I think where Schumacher would have beaten Senna is that Schumacher was a disciplinarian. Senna was sort of a playboy who just got in the car and drove only one way, whereas Schumacher would analyze the track. He would remember data. So I think Schumacher, like Rosberg, would outwork Senna. And when
So,
and
so
when
going
in other
on.
words, Schumacher was more ruthless than Senna. And when I use ruthless, not just on the track, ruthless in that, okay, I'll divorce my children, I'll divorce you, I'll even live by myself, but I'm going to win. Do you get my point?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
and
mean.
when I'm
Yeah.
going on from that, now Schumacher was not able to do it to a world record level of times. That the only person that was able to match it, we do not believe that as good as we think Lewis Hamilton was. I don't put him on the same level
No, yeah.
quite as
Yeah,
for
because,
some reason.
because that Mercedes
So,
car was so far ahead of everybody. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so therefore, for Verstappen to really be there, the person he needs to overhaul is Schumacher. He can
Yeah,
do
I think
it.
so.
He can
Yeah.
do it. He may already have the ability, but he now has to have the survivability to match that record
Yeah. Let
in
me
order
see.
to put the question down.
Yeah.
I think that potentially, even if he never catches up to Hamilton, people will always argue that he is better than Hamilton, and it's Hamilton lovers that will say that's not true. But if you want to shut the Hamilton lovers up, you have to overtake him in championships.
Yeah.
But you don't necessarily have to do the same thing for Schumacher to overtake him, but you have to get bloody close. You have to
Yeah.
get bloody.
Yeah.
You
I
have to
think.
get championships, and then you can start asking about questions about potential and raw talent. But
Yeah.
I think for now, Verstappen needs to build up his championship wins. He's lost a year now, and he can get a streak of three in the right team. He needs to get the right team, and he needs to start racking up
But
those
you know what's funny,
championships.
Kool-Aid? But you know what's funny, Kool-Aid? Which is why even before Hamilton had won, Verstappen had won his first championship in 2020. They already ranked him fifth of the goats. So it goes to show you that now we're looking at GOAT as not just how many championships we win, because that's political, you know. Because even one of his own championships was through a bad decision in Abu Dhabi. But now we're just looking at who's really that good. This was before he had won a championship. So now that he's won championships, and you're looking at Hamilton, Hamilton has also lost to teammates before. He lost to Russell and he lost to but none of that matters. But I think the difference with Hamilton is that he has a lot of raw skill, but Hamilton's not known as someone who feels grip, number one, like Senna and Schumacher, but he's consistent and he can hit. He has a lot of speed. He's like Hamilton's like Leclerc. He can go into corners very hard and break hard and late and control the car. But now that these cars are ultra sensitive, it plays to Verstappen's strength because Verstappen is a smooth driver. So Verstappen drives with gloves on, if you know what I mean. He doesn't push the car around. He actually flows with the car. Whereas Hamilton's like, go boy, go faster, boy. I'm gonna ring your neck. You get my point? So I think the thing is that Verstappen is more fluid than Hamilton. Hamilton's more aggressive, but his aggression doesn't help with these ground effects. But yeah, but I do agree with you that this is between Schumacher and Verstappen, and I think the reasons between the two of them is because whereas Hamilton has as much speed as they have, these other guys take it to insane levels of memory of the track, and they're disciplined. I think that's the main difference. What are your thoughts?
And,
Let's go back. What were you gonna say, Kunle? Yeah.
Also, the ability to duel. Verstappen and Schumacher reminds me of Baron von Richthofen in World War One that shot down all the camel hops, all the British fighters. They're like daredevil aces, and that's what sets them apart, and that's where you have to be.
But you know what?
Hamilton is like the red tails. Hamilton is like the red tails.
But you know what? Sometimes I'm tempted to give Schumacher the advantage over Verstappen is because Schumacher is actually more consistent than Verstappen because Verstappen sometimes makes dumb mistakes when he's angry. Schumacher is like a machine. Everything he does, even though Schumacher has emotions, when he's behind that wheel, that guy is evil. Even if he has to kill you, he will. But if he kills you, it'll be for strategic purposes, not because of anger. If I kill him now and the race stops, I'll win the championship. Yeah.
Hamilton,
so I think
Schumacher isn't afraid to be sent. I saw him get sent to the back of Monaco. I swear, unless I'm very high that day and I'm saying something, please say if I'm wrong. He was sent to the race in Monaco and won it.
Yeah. That guy's crazy. So I think
it wasn't a figment of my imagination.
No, that happened. It happened in one race. Yeah, I can't remember what year it was. But anyway, so I follow. What are your thoughts going back to the feedback thing? some of the technical stuff with how Schumacher gives feedback and Verstappen. Yeah.
Yeah, Verstappen is just a driver-centric person, or a car-centric, Formula One-centric person, in the sense that he always provides very precise and actionable feedback, not just vague, but his feedbacks are good enough to be used by the engineers to take decisions that move the car forward. And it allows Red Bull as a team, especially under Adrian Newey, to effectively design a car that suits his driving style and improves performance, especially when it comes to high front grip. And then if you look at also, he's aggressively fast. He demonstrates near flawless consistency, and he always manages to operate very close to the limit of the grip for very long stints and periods. How he managed to do this, I don't know. And if you look at the fact that most of the time his car is not as good as perhaps maybe the McLarens. He possesses an ability to, to extract raw power from a car that is unstable, especially at the rear end. That is also
Yeah.
something that one needs to take into consideration, that
Yeah.
when you are in a car that is not really the car, you can extract maximum performance from a car that is not as stable as you expect.
Yeah, and I think that's because to extract the most out of a car, it's sort of like trying to talk to a woman and get her, hey, hook up with me. You have to be smooth. You can't just say, come on, drive for me. Have sex with me now, please. Yes, people are like, no, fluid. I'm joking, but what Verstappen is doing is he's distributing weight, changing the angles, and he's feeling the car and letting the car lead him on what to do in terms of track. Because you can't, with these, no Formula One car can be made to perform well. Performance and brute force don't go hand in hand. Performance and proper what's the word, translation of power, whether it's changing how when you rotate or how much weight you put on the left or the right tire. So in other words, you have to have finesse to bring out the most, especially out of these modern cars. What do you think of Falabi? Yeah.
I agree with you. You need finesse. And if you're talking about someone that has the technical finesse, it's Max Verstappen. Because if
Yeah.
you look at the way he has been able to adapt from the hybrid technology to ground effects cars,
Yeah.
Verstappen mastered every major shift in regulation with
Yeah.
consummate
He's
ease.
adaptable.
He's
He's adaptable.
adaptable. He's calm under pressure. He manages his tire well. He hardly ever wastes a lap. And you look at his qualifying record, always his one lap speed is always very good, and it manages to convert his qualifyings to race victories, and that's one thing very unique about him. And then his mental toughness, very calm under pressure. He doesn't, well, if you compare him to Schumacher, some people say Verstappen can be a bully, but if you had to compare him with Schumacher, I think Schumacher was more of a bully than Max Verstappen, because
For the
Schumacher was
thing,
about intensity and raw brute force. Unlike
but not only that, Schumacher also was analytical, so he
it
knew
was analytical, because the
he knew
development
every
of the
aspect
Ferrari
of every
under
track.
his driving was quite good.
Verstappen is more intuitive, and Senna is the most intuitive. But Verstappen is like right in between the two of them, so he's actually to me the perfect example. But we have to wait and see. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll say Verstappen is the goal, or the next day Schumacher. But I think one thing Schumacher had was he was a little bit more mature and had more emotional control. Because but as Verstappen is getting older, he has more emotional control now. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I
Last
think it
starts
comes
cooling.
with age.
Yeah, yeah. Last starts
Yeah,
cooling.
sadly, there's someone that I don't know whether you'll all laugh and say, no way, he doesn't belong in this conversation. But at some level, I do believe we're doing a little bit of a disservice to Sebastian Vettel.
Oh yeah, Vettel. Yeah,
I think
but Vettel was
he,
not
he
adaptable. Vettel has that V style of driving. Yeah,
but he did have that edge. He just didn't have it for long enough.
yeah. He had the mental edge, but I don't think he was adaptable in driving. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that was the main. Yeah. No, Vettel. Oh, he was on course to be in the GOAT. He was on course, but when Lewis Hamilton got into that Mercedes, that changed everything. And also, Vettel lost to his teammate Charles. I think Vettel needed a stable car. Once they moved to ground effects, that affected him. Yeah. So I think his.
He had personality clashes, I think. I do believe.
Yeah. All right. So this is good. This is like a never-ending story. We'll just pick up on this. Me and Kule will talk tomorrow. But tomorrow we're doing the U.S. Grand Prix analysis. The three of us will do that tomorrow.
Circuit of the Americas.
And then the next day we'll get back to Schumacher versus Cole. We didn't even mention Alonso. We'll talk more about Alonso on the next day. Okay, take us out, Kunle. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been an insightful look into the history of who was the greatest Formula One driver of them all. Was it Schumacher? Was it Hamilton? Or was it the current one that dominates in Verstappen, the Flying Dutchman? And we have all had a look into it. And from myself and Mustafa Nafalabi, we bid you goodbye, farewell, adieu. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.
And you got Yuki said, if you give me a year, I believe I could be the GOAT too. If you just give me another year. If you give me another year, I show you I could be the GOAT. All right, that's what guys. This was another good independent research. Good one, though.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah.